ladies. It is so good to be with you this evening. So great for us to be able to gather again as Hope Ladies. And we are in for such an amazing time together. Today, I want to introduce to you a special friend of mine, Bronwyn Zitzman. She is in our Boksburg congregation. She is a friend to many of you. And she is on a journey of becoming. And that is what we're talking about today, is the journey of becoming. Bronwyn Zitzman has been married for 13 years to Mike. He heads up our Shine organization, which is our social justice arm of Thrive Church. She also has 3 beautiful children. Darren is 10. He is a little sportsman of note. Haley is a little princess. She is 7. And Chad is still in the wild phase. He is 5. But she has her hands full with her 3 beautiful children. She also owns her own business, which is Win Products. It's car products that she sells. And so she really does juggle a lot of things in her life. So Bron, can I ask you, how do you keep it all together?
Sure. Do I look like I keep it together, Cole? You know what? It's just take one day at a time. I'm a mom, I'm a working mom, I'm a wife. I just got to do it. I have no other choice really. So
pretty much one day at a time.
Exactly.
Do what needs to be done.
One day at a time. Look at the schedule, what needs to be done, and I do that.
And make it happen.
Somehow.
Like so many of us, yeah. We're all on a journey, but we've never quite arrived on this journey, and so it's always a juggle. It's always a day-to-day thing where, what do I need to do? How do I need to make this happen each day? And each day we find that we have different setbacks and different difficulties, but we always find that we're in this place of becoming. We're on this journey of becoming more and becoming all that God has called us to be. And so how do you find you navigate that on a day-to-day basis of just becoming all that God has called you to be in the season that you find yourself in?
Cole, you know, as I said before, every day is a challenge. Every day you wake up to different challenges. I don't know where God wants me to be, but I'm on this journey and I'm trusting Him to lead me in the right way.
Yeah.
It's been tough. It hasn't been easy at all. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not perfect as much as what I'd like to be perfect. I'm not perfect. But I've learned a lot along the way and I'm thankful for that. There is a silver lining to everything that has happened. Somehow, somewhere you see the silver lining. But it's just a constant challenge every day.
Yes, yeah. Over the last few years, so just to sort of give you a bit of feedback, is that Bron has lost 2 of her parents in a very short space of time, in the space of 2 years. And so this has been, not only has she juggled raising a family, 3 small children, running a business, she's had to deal with the loss of both of her parents. And so, Bron, for you, how have you allowed and given yourself some grace and space in this season? And then maybe we'll chat a little bit about just the whole experience of losing both of your parents. But for now, how have you allowed yourself a little bit of grace and space just to process all that you've experienced?
So, sure. I remember coming to a ladies' event with Pastor Jackie, and I went upstairs to have dinner with her afterwards, and I had just lost my dad. And I just felt like I was running between pillar and post, and my life I felt like I was on a treadmill, and it wasn't stopping. And she looked at me and she said to me, Bron, you need to realize that it's actually okay to take time out for yourself. And I wasn't doing that for myself. I wasn't allowing myself to stop and catch my breath, because both my parents passed away really suddenly. And when my mom passed away, she passed away first. So when she passed away, I had to kind of take the reins for my dad. I was working with my dad at the time, so I was with him every single day, and I kind of had to get to the house in the morning and make sure that he had things in the house to eat and still run the business with him, make sure he was okay. I settled my mom's estate, I sorted all that out because my dad fell apart when my mom passed away. And then not long after that, my dad, after being diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, 9 days later he died. So that was
So quick.
a slap in the face.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm now left to run a business. I've got my family. I've now got to tie up my dad's estate. I've got to, with the help of my sister and Mark and my brother-in-law, we've got to now sell their house. And I think what I've learned is it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
As much as what I want to be okay and I want people to think I'm okay, I've come to realize that it's actually okay to not be okay and to tell people that you're not okay.
Yes.
Because for a long time, people would come up to me and say, Bron, you're so strong, how have you coped through this? And I look at them and I'm like, what? Do I look strong? I'm not strong. I'm actually crumbling inside.
Yeah.
But I've had to hold it together. I didn't have a choice. I've had to hold it together. And it's only by God's grace that I've been able to do this.
To do it.
Yeah. To get to where I am now.
Yeah.
Not that I've arrived.
Sure. It's not an easy journey that you've walked, but how have you managed to sort of stay on the track to becoming emotionally well, spiritually well, mentally well? How have you managed sort of becoming more of that and taking that journey of wellness and actually intentionally becoming more well in the season? How has that been for you? What have you done?
So mentally, I was not in a good place. Mentally, I've been a mess where I would get into bed every night and replay my parents' death every single night. Like I would go through what happened with my mom, I'd go through what happened with my dad, and then I would think, okay, but what if I had gotten my mom to the hospital soon enough? Would they then have been able to put her on oxygen and drain her lungs from the fluid that she was drowning in? Would they have picked up that she was going into organ failure? What if I was stricter with her with what the doctor had told her she can and cannot do? And then with my dad's death, I keep thinking to myself, what happens if I didn't ask the oncologist to come to the hospital the night before? And if she didn't prescribe what she had prescribed that night, would my dad have managed to maintain his blood pressure? Because his blood pressure the next morning after receiving the medication the night before dropped, and they couldn't bring it back up again. And again, he also went into organ failure, and it's been a blame game. I've been blaming myself for a long time.
Sure.
And
that can't be helpful mentally.
It's not.
Because it's kind of like these thoughts just keep reoccurring over and over.
It's kept me stuck. It's kept me stuck in those moments where I can't move forward because I'm blaming myself. I'm running over what if only, and then for like a split second, I'm like, okay, if I'd done this, she would have still been alive. And if I didn't ask the doctor to do this, he would have still been alive. And I have a glimmer of hope and excitement, and then reality hits, and they're not here anymore. They're gone. They're no longer here. And that slaps me in the face every single day. You wake up and you hit in the face with the fact that your parents are gone. The people that gave you life are gone. Yeah. So Mark actually sat me down one night and he said to me, Bron, I feel like you're stuck. I feel like you're living in your parents' death. You're not moving forward. You're not allowing yourself to move forward, and you're not living in the now with me or with the kids. Yeah. You're permanently living in then. Yes. What happened then. Yeah. And I said to him, I feel like I've lost the joy in life. I didn't find joy in anything. Yes, I carried on with my daily routine. I worked. I refused to let anybody help me because I was going to make a success out of this. I wasn't going to let the business fail. I was there for my kids, doing school stuff, school sports, but I was still living in my parents' death, in the darkness of their death.
Not managing to process it, to move forward or get past it in any way. Yeah. Did you seek any kind of counsel or help? Or
I did. Eventually, I had to. I felt like I was just a sad person all the time. Nothing was making me happy. So eventually, I got hold of a psychologist. I had a couple of sessions with her, and together with my GP, the two of them had then said that I was now suffering with anxiety and a bit of PTSD. So they put me on medication for the anxiety, but they wanted me to work through the PTSD. So the psychologist then asked me to write letters to my parents and write down lists of things that I would say to them and things that I had learned from them as well. So that helped a lot because it cracked open a box that I had kept shut for a long time.
Kind of like forces you to process it. It forces you to work through what you're feeling and what you're thinking, and you can't just cut that emotion off if you're writing it down. You have to actually follow that process. And so has that helped you to process it quite a bit?
It has. Emotionally, I blocked myself completely. Like the minute my mind would wander into thinking of my parents, I would block it. Like I wouldn't allow a memory to come back because I can't fall apart. I've got too much up in the air. I've got my kids, I've got the business, I've got Mark. I couldn't allow myself to fall apart, and I was scared. I was scared to allow myself to feel the hurt and the pain because I was scared that if I allowed it, I would fall apart and things would come crashing, and then who's going to pick up the pieces? It's only me that was going to pick up the pieces.
And added to that, when your dad passed away, you had to pick up the business because you were in business with him. And so now that whole business landed on your shoulders and you had to pick it up. So you couldn't allow things to fall apart.
No.
You had to keep going. You had to make sure your kids were fed and looked after and got to school and all of those things, as well as run the business and continue your life, you know. So what kind of things do you do apart from that help you to gain some sort of sanity? I know that you run. So does that help you?
Oh yes. Running is my outlet. Running kind of allows me to forget what's happening in my mind and at home. I also get opportunities to encourage the ladies that I run with. I listen to their stories, they listen to my stories. It's also sometimes easier for me to not get too deep with the people I run with. I can let them know what I want them to know and not have to deal with anything deeper than surface level. But running for me is also a way of keeping my body fit, my mind healthy, and especially after losing my parents so quickly, and they were so young. Now I am fearful that I will one day leave my kids when they are still young and I'm still young, and I don't want that. I want to keep my body fit and healthy so that I'm around to watch my grandchildren grow up one day, because my folks were they were obsessed with the grandkids, the five of them. They were their everything, and I get angry because I'm like, now they don't get to watch them grow up and see Darren make the Gauteng team for baseball and watch Hayley at her dancing and see how lovable Chad is, despite how crazy wild he is. He's such a lovable child. And also my niece and my nephew, Evan and Lex, they also, they loved my mom and dad so much. And them leaving has left a huge hole in the grandkids' hearts. They battle to this day, as small as what they are, they battle with the loss of my mom and dad. And I don't want that for my kids or my grandkids one day.
But that's also something I think that makes it difficult for you. Not only are you processing your own grief, but you realize that your children are also struggling with the grief and the loss, and needing to be there for them as well, and help them through that emotion. So, you know, the journey is a difficult one, and even though we're always on a journey of seeking to become well in areas of our mental life and our spiritual life and our emotional life, you know, some days are up and some days are down, and some days are harder than other days. And the important thing is that we just keep making sure that each day we get up and we keep doing the things. And that's what I think, by the sounds of it, you've had to do. You've had to just kind of pick yourself up. But in and amongst that, you've drawn strength from your running. I know that you've got quite a good social circle of friends, so do you find that that helps as well, just to...
I do. You know what? A lot of my friends have been around since we were in school. So my sister's friends and my friends are now one big group of friends, which is so great. So I've got a lot of friends, different ages. Even some of my running friends are older than me. So the ages are great because you can connect with people at different stages of life and get advice from someone older than you, or give advice to someone younger than you. But a lot of them were around with my parents, and to see the impact my parents had on my friends has been incredible. A lot of them called my mom their mom.
Yes.
So I feel like, yes, my sister and I lost our parents, but our friends also lost them, because my mom and dad always had an open house. My friends were permanently there. People knew on a Friday that pavement was packed with cars, and even if my sister and I weren't at home, our friends would pitch up to visit my mom and dad. So having lifelong friends like that has been awesome. They cry with me, they reminisce with me, they talk about my parents, which is what I want. I don't want to not talk about them because they're not here anymore.
No, absolutely.
I want to keep them alive.
You've got to celebrate who they were.
And talking about them actually helps me more. It helps me release a bit of pain, and we get to laugh and joke, and I remember this, and it's actually very encouraging to have that. It really is.
So that's great. So you've got your running, you've got your friends. What about your spiritual life? How has God helped you through this season?
So God knows that I have been very angry with Him. Very. I've had lots of questions. Yes. Things that people would say, and I'm like, oh, whatever, like, what does God know? Because I'm angry. Yes. But deep down, I know that He has planned everything according to His will, and I've learned to just trust it, because I can't change it as much as what I would like to change it. I can't change it. I'm not in control, which is what I've had to let go of. I've had to try and let go of the control. I'm a control freak. I like to be in control of things, and I've had to let go of that and realize that it's not my call. And I think because I have a relationship with God, I'm involved in the church, I continue to serve, I continue to tithe, because I know it's the right thing to do. And I think I almost feel sorry for people that don't have a relationship with God, because there's a peace that comes with it. As much as what I was hurting and I was angry, there is definitely a peace. And I think my life would have definitely taken a different course if I wasn't plugged in to church and had godly friends in my life, and been a part of a life group where people brought us meals for 10 days on both occasions when my parents passed away. We had meals brought to us. We didn't even know some of the people that would rock up at our house with a meal for us. And a small gesture like that goes such a long way. You have no idea how much that helped, because when you're going through that grieving phase, the last thing you think of is food. Like that helped us so much on so many occasions. So spiritually, I've just learned to trust God, trust the journey. It is what it is.
And walk that road.
Exactly.
I heard something the other day that said we mustn't be scared to have honest conversations with God. Like you would have an honest conversation with your spouse if you were angry with him, or if you wanted to express the way you were feeling and you spoke honestly about it. We need to be able to have honest conversations with God as well, to express how we are feeling. And it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel angry that both of your parents have gone at such an early stage in your life. But we always know that God is faithful and that He comes through for us, and He gives us that peace when there's nothing else that we can hold on to except that peace.
Absolutely.
And we know that we've got to trust Him in this journey. Well, thanks, Bron, so much for sharing with us. It's been so great to hear your story, and I'm really trusting that each and every one of you have been encouraged by Bronwyn's story. Have an incredible rest of your evening.